Be careful. Once you know the devil knows you.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another Backlot Banter movie review. My name is Tucker Hazel and this is my co-host who prays for the devil daily, Tanner Dykstra, and today we're here to review Pray for the Devil, the new horror movie from Lionsgate and director Daniel Stamm, a name you probably don't recognize, but we're here to talk about it. And if you want to talk to us about Pray for the Devil, you can join our Discord. That link is in the top description. And while you're down there, please subscribe to our channel, ring that bell, and like and comment. You know the thing. You've watched a YouTube video before. Unless this is your first one, then congratulations, welcome. I'm glad you found us. But Tanner, we just saw Pray for the Devil.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure many other people will.
Nope.
It's a horror movie, and we saw it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. Tucker, I would like to say that I have the perfect 2 words to describe Pray for the Devil, which I used in my Letterboxd review. Movie. No, follow me, Tanner_Dykstra on Letterboxd. But I called this movie unfathomably boring.
Oh,
and I think
that's more interesting than a movie.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's accurate because, as you said, Tucker, we are the lucky few, maybe the unlucky few, who have witnessed Pray for the Devil opening night, no less. And not a lot of other people are going to do it, and I think it's just because there's not going to be word of mouth on this movie.
Yeah.
It feels like a movie out of time, which I think we have said before. This is sort of a return to like the 2010s demonic possession horror movie, one of which the director of this, Daniel Stamm.
No idea.
Also did with The Last Exorcism, and this seems like no departure from that sort of those tropes, that genre, and I did not care for Pray for the Devil.
No, and I definitely understand that. I think that as someone who has a strange passion for those forgotten horror films, the films that come out and do okay, but then are easily forgotten and kind of just become the background noise of the cinematic industry, I find there to be something kind of compelling about this movie, and I actually liked it. I think it's a good entry. It doesn't do anything terribly. It doesn't do anything exceptionally, but the things that are there, I found intrigue with and some positives. So I don't know if I'll be in the minority of liking this movie. I'm not even sure what the Rotten Tomatoes or anything of that it is right now.
It's got a 2.3 on Letterboxd currently.
That's not very good.
No.
That's below half, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, the place I want to start with is the sort of concept of this film, which I think is why I didn't find it as boring as you did, which is the idea of there being a modern school for teaching exorcism. And these people are taking classes to learn the steps of exorcism and the history. Our main character, Sister Anne, is one of the first, if not the first, female person to be involved in this school. And I find both the main character being the first female to be researching and learning about exorcisms, and also the location and setting and concept of a school for exorcism to be a lot more compelling than the majority of these other exorcism-based movies, which I've seen a good handful of. I haven't seen a ton of them, but on that base level, I already find that way more interesting and engaging conceptually than just throwing someone in there to do an exorcism or two.
Tucker, you're a man who gives a lot of weight to concepts in film.
Yeah.
I like to think of myself as a man who puts more weight in the execution of those concepts. And I think that Pray for the Devil severely lacks in that department. You mentioned, the main character, Jacqueline Byers, who portrays Sister Anne, is the first woman to learn how to do exorcisms. And presumably the school in which this is set is fictional.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. But I feel that they don't do anything particularly interesting or unique with these things. They don't delve into the gender politics of her being enrolled here. It's mostly just some of the dudes, for a little bit, being like, there's a woman here. That's kind of crazy. And then some of the older women there being like, women can't learn here. That's wrong. And then one of the what's his face, the main teacher is like, but she's gonna learn. They're like, all right, whatever. And the school itself, I feel, isn't particularly unique in that for a large portion of it, it could just be like a hospital because there are patients who are possessed. I just want a quick aside. The implication of this world is that the church locks up people who they presume to be possessed, that's kind of fucked up. And if it went into those aspects of the world, I would have given it credit for that, but it doesn't, so I won't.
Yeah, no, I think it just takes its own concept for granted, because you're right, there isn't any delving into these topics of the gender politics of this system, or the history of it, or why it was created, or why they have these things like locking the patients up in these rooms you got to use a key card to get into. But I never found that I was lacking in those, because it does just feel well realized and established. Like, this, obviously there hasn't been females involved in this system. They do have these cells, and I also, I guess, sort of take them for granted just as the foundation of this world. And I found the concept of following our main character, Sister Anne, to be compelling enough to keep me through, because I do think that Jacqueline Byers gives a much better performance than your average mediocre horror movie main character. She's way more confident. She's like, her trauma shows in really interesting ways, and it's revealed through the course of the film as you learn bits and pieces about her history. But she gives such a compelling performance that I'm just immediately interested in learning about how she's going to be tackling the exorcisms that she obviously performs. It's an exorcism movie.
Yes. Jacqueline Byers is one of my two partial positives of this film. I think that she is better than the material that she's been given in this movie. I certainly hope that she gets to move on to bigger and better things. And initially, in the first 15, 20 minutes of this film, I'm like, okay, she could take me through this, I think. I could ride the film on her performance. Ultimately, I believe she gets dragged down by the very weak script, the very weak story material that she's given to work with. But on the whole, I would like to see Jacqueline Byers do more things, because you're right, Tucker. She is unique in the fact that, she is the first woman in the exorcism program, exorcism studies.
Yep.
And she has a certain confidence about her that is born out of the trauma that she's written with, and I think Jacqueline Byers is very good at embodying that in moments where that is allowed to come through. Also just like having fun with the little girl, Natalie, who becomes a very important part of the story than we were, more important than we were initially led to believe. And I think those genuine moments of her just like having fun with the kid is pretty good.
Yeah, she's definitely a very well-realized character. She's put in a lot of more variety of situations than you usually get from a typical poorly written horror movie victim/protagonist, because you're right, she does have those moments of levity, or she'll wink at someone in the back of the classroom, or she and her associate father, also student, sneaking into the forbidden section in the library. Like, there are moments of levity where I do feel like I get more of her personality, and then she does have those confident moments, and she does have some moments of terror and sadness, and I think that her range is easily able to show. And this one that is, you're right, pretty weak on a script level. Like, none of the lines really hit with me, or develop the story in super interesting ways, but she definitely does perform it above the quality of that script. So what's that other partial positive that you're talking about?
I think this movie has fleeting moments of memorable imagery.
Sure.
Is what I will say. One such fleeting moment is really out of context. I can't remember the context of this thing.
Oh, don't worry. I'm a Prayer for the Devil Master. I'll be able to help you there.
I kind of feel like this is just a cool idea that they had that they threw in. It's when Anne is pulling the hair or whatever out of her eyeball.
Yeah, I don't know what the context of that is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I feel like it is just absolutely a cool idea that they had and put in. And, it is compelling, sort of stomach-churning imagery. Sort of your skin's crawling as you're watching this thing play out. But I think it has a number of moments like that. There's a moment where a possessed person kills a bunch of people in the back of an ambulance. Yeah. And that's sort of like, it's like burned out, and there's a burning cross and stuff like that. I think that's a moment of cool imagery, and that it occurs a handful of other times, just enough times to make like a Twitter layout of 4 pictures of like, this is Pray for the Devil, go see it.
Sure, no, you're absolutely right about the number, but I do think that the scares and the creativity of the possessed people and exorcism moments are much higher than I expected out of this movie, and I think that the special and practical effects are actually used pretty well in this movie. And you're right about those memorable moments, the bending of people's backs, or this one moment that really sticks out to me of slits opening in someone's hand and maggots coming out. Yeah, like that is... I've never seen... I didn't even know it was happening when that was starting to happen. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it makes the horror tension moments of this film done a lot better than I expected to. And I think that sort of, for me, transitions to why I still think that this is a good movie outside of the concept and performance, is that I do think this is a well-made film. I mean, it is lit well. The cinematography is decent. The set design of the school/hospital/church is really quite cool. And so I didn't feel like it was a cheap film. It was done well in the practical and special effects. The sets and the cinematography and the lighting all looked solid to good. And because of the concept and our lead performance, I was carried through this film in a very positive way. I was certainly intrigued. It's not going to stick with me, but I'm like, yeah, I appreciated what they did here.
Sure. I just feel like maybe a good film should stick with you in some fashion, and that's why I say we didn't get into this story. There is like a twist spoiler thing that we should we talk about it? I don't even know.
We'll give our scores and we can quickly talk about some spoilers.
Okay, sure. But yeah, from a story standpoint, I think this is something that we've both been saying, is that it's poorly written movie. It's not extremely compelling from a story standpoint. It feels like we're spinning our wheels for a little bit, where we get an exorcism in the middle before we go on to our third act reveal and the final demon battle, I guess. But no, it is just really just dull for me from a story standpoint.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. What score are you give this unfathomably boring film?
1.9.
1.9 is pretty low, and multitudes lower than I'm going to give this movie, because I still do think it's a good, above average horror movie. So I'm going to end up giving this a 5.7. I don't think it's amazing, obviously. 5.7 is not a good score, but I think this is a good movie that I enjoyed aspects of.
Sure. I'll just say it. I guess we can give our quick thoughts on it. The spoiler of this is, well, I was trying to predict what the twist of this movie was going to be, and I had some big swings, mind you, such as Anne being the literal Antichrist. But no, what we get is something much more underwhelming, and that is that Natalie, yes, Natalie, is her daughter, whom she gave birth to at 15 and had to give away. And she has been possessed by a demon because there's just a demon out there trying to get after Anne. Why? Yeah. We're never told why.
That's probably my biggest problem with the concept and story of this film. I'm Mr. Lore, especially when it comes to horror movies, and just even something about the history of why her mom was possessed, or how that got connected to the family, because clearly it's a lineage thing with multiple generations being impacted by this. It never touches on that, and I think that, while I liked the reveal of it being that Natalie was her daughter, it did make it feel more personal. It upped the stakes of Natalie, who I already liked. I thought the young actress did a good job. Their bond was really palpable, as you were saying earlier. It upped the personal stakes of that, and it felt like Anne realized that she needed to care even to a deeper level, because it had that familial connection. But for me, the spoiler of this film, and the reason why I found that last act compelling, even though on the whole it was largely just like, shadows and someone going is that she takes the demon inside of her, which is a confident sacrifice that you usually don't see from horror movie protagonists. Or she trying to keep the demon away, but she potentially sacrifices her own life and sanity for the good of her daughter's future. And I found that to be a compelling continuation of her arc of self-sacrifice and being able to take steps that other people aren't. Because we're always talking about, across this movie, how there's history, there's thousands of years of them doing this, and she shouldn't break free of the system. But it is when she steps out of those boundaries and by the end of the movie takes the demon inside of her that really subverts like what the established rules of this exorcism world is.
And of course, though, I felt there was no stakes because we have to, Tucker. We have to set up for Pray for the Devil 2,
Yeah.
where Anne is out and about and getting hunted down by Satan's foot soldiers.
Yep.
And I do want to just quickly add something that I mentioned that there is no real reason why this demon is after her, but there is a single line that is like she is the last child of God or a child of God or something
that.
like that. Yeah, it could be.
Sounds like something that would have been in there.
It could just be writer flourish that they're like, we'll say this and we don't really know what it means.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Will Pray for the Devil get two made? I don't know, Tucker.
Nope. Yeah, I kind of doubt it. I mean, you and I expected this movie would do really well. I mean, coming off the backs of Smile being a box office smash and Halloween Ends making money.
Barbarian being popular, this coming out right on Halloween weekend.
But we'll see. We are literally just a few hours into it being released. Our theater was very empty. It was you, me, our friend, and two others. But who knows if that's indicative of this movie not doing well. But I hope it does well. I want to see Jacqueline Byers do more stuff. I honestly would like to see a continuation of this. I think Sister Anne is an interesting enough character. This sort of John Wick 2 style, her on the street being hunted down by demons from all sides. I think could be kind of fun if that's actually what the ending implies.
They won't do that. They will not do that.
Hire me, Daniel Stamm. But yeah, at the end of the day, I like this movie. Will I shout it from the rooftops? No, but I'll say it on a rooftop, maybe. If you can get me up there.
Under their breath, maybe. Yeah.
Tanner, we reviewed Pray for the Devil. Thank you for joining me. And thank you, our audience, for watching through to the end if you did. And we will see you guys in other movie reviews in the future.
I like using that old-timey language.
Yeah.
An old fling,
I said old flame.
I know, but fling is also similar.
It is, but flame implies genuine passion. Fling implies sexual impropriety in my
sexual impropriety. I prefer sexual impotence.
Is that what you practice on the daily?
God, Tucker, I practice it every day if I can.
Wake up, sexual impotence, go to sleep.
You know what they say? Is that it takes 1,000 hours of practice to become a master.
Oh yeah,
I'm working my way there.
You're close. You'll have your master's degree soon.
soon enough.
I'm gonna be a PhD in incel.
Incels aren't necessarily impotent.
Okay.
Believe me, Tucker, I would know.
You just happen to be both.
I just happen to be both. That's
I conflate the two. My bad.
Well, if you're impotent, that means that it's not. Oh, it is involuntary.
You didn't choose to be impotent. I hope not.
No,
well, maybe you did.
Many do in the profession, but I don't.
In your line of work.
It's in my line of work. It's fate. It's a calling.
Sure. Yeah, you would. Yeah.